tell you that I am not just sitting in DC. I am getting out into the streets. And right now, to be perfectly honest, if we're going to win and keep our country, we're going to need somebody who can file bills, but also knows how to be a street fighter. And so that is my response.
Mr. Tallarico, same question, 30 seconds. What's the political risk that you are willing to take that you feel your opponent would not? Here's the...
Wait a minute. I'm going to go back to that question. Go back to that particular question. But for those who are just now coming on the live, I was going to do an experiment. So I'm on my phone as well. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. We're just doing a overview of the debate from yesterday. To me, like I said before, as I'm saying on here, the debate is kind of suspect a little bit. I do not like these, whatever you would call them right here. I don't like these two up front that were asking all the freaking questions and all this other stuff, because I just think this whole thing was kind of iffy at best. The questions were iffy at best. The debate between these two, well, it was okay. It was okay. I feel that Jasmine was coming on a little strong, coming on a little too strong. She was nervous. She seemed a little bit tired, as I stated before. To me, they just needed they need one more debate before November. How's that? They need one more debate before November. Once the early voting in March happens, they should have like an ultimate debate. Like, do some little bit of like updates of past and present events, and what are they going to do for the state of Texas, and not so much for the country, if you know what I mean. But let's continue.
In these fights, and they have been right there on the front lines where people could see me out front. I think that because of, I didn't get my bad.
And see, right there, I'll play it. I'll replay it. Right there, she didn't get her 60 seconds.
And I served in the state house together. Republicans, that boils down to people not being able to fight in this particular time that many of us have never seen in this country, and honestly never thought that we would see. And so I think that as we see a record number of retirements on the federal level from both the Democrats and Republicans, that boils down to people not being able to fight in this particular environment. I think that I've evidenced that. In fact, James and I served in the state house together. He's actually been elected longer than I have been elected, yet he's not as known right now because I have engaged in these fights, and they have been right there on the front lines where people could see me out front. I think that because of, I didn't get my 50.
That was not 60 seconds, fam. That was not 60 seconds. And see, and this is the problem with it. Like, I was doing my own timekeeping. I started my own timekeeping on my phone, and I can clearly witness that the timekeeper needs to be fired, because it was either over their time or under their time. And this one was not it, man. She got duped.
My bad.
She got duped.
Moving on, we're going to stick with you, Ms. Crockett. We have a follow-up question when it comes to electability. What's the political risk that you are willing to take that you feel like your opponent would not take in order to win the U.S. Senate seat?
I think that I will do the edgy things, the things that the political consultants will never tell you to do. Because right now, people are hurting. This isn't about games. It's not about politics as usual. It's not about who sounds as clean as possible. It is about tapping into the rawness of this moment. I've been to Minneapolis and heard the stories of the people on the ground as they are being accosted. And obviously, we've got killings that are going on. And now we have the DOJ that has decided that they want to prosecute the wife of Renee Good. I have been there in California after David.
Yeah, we're going to be reviewing some very disturbing shit. First, this thing about this 5-year-old boy, and then I've been hearing some other things about 2-year-olds. I don't know what the hell is going on. And then I heard some shit this morning that, of course, we all know that Trump has lost his damn mind, but what he is willing to do in a situation like the elections coming up, and we only got 3 years. We only got 3 years to go. But this early voting that's going on in November will indicate if those seats have already had turned blue, according to my sources. But this is where I should have just put the thumbnail a little bit different and just took that, what I have on right now, and put on like everybody in the Trump administration should go. But this is okay, because like I said, we're doing a review of the debate from last night. And if anybody who watched the debate last night, it was good. I'm gonna say it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was good enough for me. I'm sure there's gonna be many reviews on this debate. And I looked, Roland Martin was on the case. Duh. Others were watching it, and Lucas. I'm gonna review a little bit of Lucas's live. Anybody knows the amazing Lucas? Please stand up. Please stand up. Anybody knows the amazing Lucas? Oh boy. I mean, we don't agree on everything, but when it comes to certain talking points, me and the amazing Lucas, I would have to say that we are on agreement on what he was stating. It sounds a little harsh, and when it comes to a certain group, a certain cult group, it's coming a little harsh, fam. But I guess when they say facts is facts, facts is facts, family. Let's continue.
Huerta of SEIU had been incarcerated by ICE, and I listened to his story and met with him because we went there. I have been to Chicago. I am here to tell you that I am not just sitting in DC. I am getting out into the streets. And right now, to be perfectly honest, if we're going to win and keep our country, we're going to need somebody who can file bills.
Sorry for the shadow.
But also knows how to be a street fighter. And so that is my response.
Mr. Tallarico, same question, 30 seconds. What's the political risk that you are willing to take that you feel your opponent would not?
Here's the risk I'm willing to take. Congressman Crockett and I are on the same team. I think we've already seen in this debate that there's going to be a temptation by the media to pit us against each other. But we are all focused on the same goal, which is winning in November and stopping a Senator Ken Paxton. And so I'm thinking just in this debate, you're going to see that Congresswoman Crockett and I agree on a whole lot more than we disagree on. And that unity is a threat to the billionaires who want to pit us all against each other and who right now are running this country, running this economy. And we need someone who has stood up to those billionaires in our nation's capital.
I mean, I don't mind the team up at the end. At the end of the day, I don't mind a team up. But this, mind you, this is debate. This is a debate. It's supposed to be going up against fight. Hate your guts. I hate you. No, I hate you. No, I'm playing. No, I'm playing. You're fighting for a better good. You're fighting to get Trump out of office. You're fighting to get his flunkies out of office, out of their position, because Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi is really getting on my nerves. Sounds like they need the brother from Mario Kart. My brother from Mario Kart. There ain't no brother from Mario Kart. What are you talking about? Browser? You talking about Browser? You stupid.
We want to move to the topic of immigration enforcement now. As many of you know, there was a deadly shooting involving federal immigration officers today in Minneapolis.
The House this week approved a spending bill that included funding for ICE. Ms. Crockett, you voted against the bill Thursday. Can you explain your opposition and tell us whether you support the idea of defunding or abolishing ICE? You have 60 seconds.
I absolutely voted against this bill. There was no way I was going to continue to pump a historic amount of money into this rogue organization that is going out and is violating people's rights every single day on American cities. I was just not going to do it. At the end of the day, right now, I think that we need to clean house from top to bottom. I ended up signing on to impeachment of Kristi Noem, as well as I call her Cruel Christie. I signed on to that, but I don't even know. Here's my
Wait. What did she call her? Never mind. That ain't important.
big issue. Right now, we have an administration all throughout that is deciding, yes, these are the laws, but we're just going to ignore them. They are not following the law. So why are we rewarding bad behavior? And that's basically what it is. This is the 5th highest funded military force in the entire world. And what are they doing? They're killing people in the middle of the street. They decided to execute a mother of 3 in broad daylight. I don't understand how we are sitting here and acting like this is normal. The only reason
So you're saying that there's no illegal immigrant has the right to be here in America? Why is that? Why is that? You make more money here you make more money here in America than you do anywhere else. So when you're here, you make a profit. When you're here, you stand on code. When you're here, you stand on business. Not everyone, because and I can only speak for my people, good, bad, and indifferent. We're a bunch of hard heads. Some of us are hard-headed people, and no disrespect, but the truth is the truth. Some of us are hard-headed, and we look at the other side and we see people building a nation versus people who are just living in it, if you know what I mean. And this is the reason why I'm going to have another live stream later on tonight that features Pan-Africans versus FBAs versus ADOS, and why we so goddamn thirsty for a nation that a small proportion, a very small proportion of what we own and control, or small proportion of wealth that we have, we end up bitching about because we don't own anything else. We don't control anything else. But we want to bitch and moan about some damn immigrants. That's my issue. But y'all ain't convinced, so I'm going to keep going.
Trying to be respectful of the time.
I do want to ask you though, would you support abolishing or defunding ICE?
We absolutely have to clean house. Whatever that looks like, I am willing to do it. Because if there are truly proud boys that are currently in ICE, that's a problem.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Tallarico, how would you vote on ICE funding measures, and do you believe ICE should be abolished or defunded? You have 60 seconds.
ICE shot a mother in the face. ICE kidnapped a 5-year-old boy. ICE executed a man in broad daylight on our streets just this morning. It's time to tear down this secret police force and replace it with an agency that actually is going to focus on public safety. We need to impeach Kristi Noem. We need to prosecute agents who've abused their power. We have to haul these masked men before Congress so the world can see their faces. We should be cracking down on the cartels, not our communities. We should be prosecuting gang members, not small business owners. We should be hunting down human traffickers, not moms and babies. We need comprehensive immigration reform in this country. We need to remake this broken immigration system in our own image. And once we win a Senate majority, we will do exactly that.
Just to be clear, though, would you, in 10 seconds, abolish or defund ICE?
We have seen.
Why don't you, if they answer the question, they answer the freaking question. I hate the delusion. I really hate the delusion in thinking that ICE is this great superpower when in actual fact they act like Nazi patrolmen. They do. It doesn't take several ICE agents to take down one small individual. Take them down, and once you take them down, you're supposed to detain them, not kill them. Nothing but a bunch of Nazis, in my opinion. And some people don't like that type of talk, but it's the truth. It is the absolute, honest to God truth. It's no different from Nazi Germany. No different. I'm surprised he didn't. The white guy didn't get lit on fire. I'm surprised. I'm shocked.
In this historic increase in funding for ICE, that money has come out of our healthcare. So what I would say is that we should take that money back and put it in our communities where it belongs.
Staying on the topic of ICE with a follow-up question, Mr. Tallarico, you'll have 30 seconds for this. One comment that you have made is that ICE should crack down on cartels. So what does cracking down on cartels look like to you?
So we have a law enforcement agency that is going after American citizens, that's going after our neighbors, including our undocumented neighbors. There was a mom and dad up in DFW, the Vargases. They own a dry cleaners. They've had it for 20 years. They're beloved by their customers, by their community members. They raised a daughter who is now attending Texas Tech University. On their way back from Tech, after dropping her off, they were detained by ICE. If our law enforcement officials are going after the Vargases, that means they're not going after the cartels or rapists or murderers. And so I think whatever we think on this issue, we should have law enforcement focused on public safety.
Ms. Crockett, a follow-up question for you. This week you proposed the Track ICE Act,
Yes.
which would require immigration-related flight data be released within 72 hours. Explain how this transparency would affect the way ICE operates. You have 30 seconds.
I've had too many people call my office and not know where their loved ones are. I have too many people that don't know whether or not they are safe. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know that we can ever say that you're going to be right here in Texas at the Dilley facility. We know that they just found that there was a detainee that had been killed. They ruled that it was a homicide. That is the same facility that they took that precious 5-year-old to. I plan to go and conduct oversight on Wednesday with one of my colleagues. The sad part is that if I conduct oversight, I have to look at somebody like my colleague, LaMonica McIver, who is now facing 17 years in prison because she...
All right, this follow-up is for both of you. If elected senator, you will represent all Texans. many of whom support deporting undocumented immigrants. How do you balance your feelings toward ICE versus the Texans you will represent who support the enforcement we're seeing right now? Ms. Crockett, we start with you. You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, as it relates to the enforcement that we see right now, let me be clear. They are supposed to do immigration and customs enforcement, not going after U.S. citizens, not going after people that are documented. That is not what they are supposed to do, but that is what they are doing. They are turning us into Nazi Germany by saying they're going to go door to door. They are going after people because of their accent or the color of their skin, because this Supreme Court gave them carte blanche ability to do so. So all we want ICE to do is to do what ICE was created to do. And unfortunately, that's not what they are doing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tallarico, same question. How do you balance your feelings toward ICE versus the people you would represent who support deporting undocumented immigrants? You have 30 seconds.
So my family is from the border. My mom grew up in Laredo, Texas. I feel like Texans understand this issue of immigration more so than people in other states because we live with it, both the benefits and the challenges. So what I've said is that our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front and a lock on the door. We can welcome immigrants who want to live the American dream. We can build a pathway to citizenship for those neighbors who have been here, making us richer and stronger, and we can keep out people who mean to do us harm.
What do you think about that? What do you, truthfully, honestly, what do you think about that? Should we be a nation full of welcomers? And like, I welcome you into our nation. As long as you apply by the rules, as long as you don't harm us, we won't detain you, and we won't send you back to your country and all this other stuff. But what do you think about what he said? You know, we are a welcome mat, but we are a locked door, which is kind of corny. But nevertheless, I mean, what do you think? What do you think?
All right, well, this debate is being hosted by the Texas AFL-CIO, and some of their union members have some pre-recorded questions for the candidates.
We start with one from Calvin Mackey, first business agent for International Longshoremen's Association, Local 24 in Houston. Here's the question.
As a longshoreman, I've seen firsthand how artificial intelligence and automation, driven by corporate interests, has resulted in job losses. If elected, what will you prioritize at the federal level to ensure workers have a voice in artificial intelligence implementation and are protected from unfair uses of artificial intelligence?
Mr. Tallarico, and I believe Mr. Mackey is here in the crowd. How would you prioritize the federal level to ensure workers have a voice in AI implementation and are protected from?
You talking about Tallarico? We get rid of. You talking about if we get rid of Trump and it Tallarico? Well, we won't guarantee if Tallarico wins. You're not going to guarantee anything, because let me be honest with you, I don't see Tallarico being that guy if he somehow squeaks in that win and they finally get a Democrat for Senate. How long has it been? First of all, any Texans in here? Let me know if you're a Texarkana. I don't know. Even if Jasmine wins, it's gonna be a hard fight for her. I hope she does make it though. She's gonna beat the primaries. I'm not worried about that. But as far as the general is concerned, if somehow she does squeak by that motherfucker, and she's gonna possibly need a little bit of help from Hispanics and a little bit of whites. So we will see. We will definitely see. But back to my original question. My original question was, do you believe in what he was stating when it came to the immigration thing.
Unfair uses of AI. You have 60 seconds.
Well, when I was a public school teacher, I was a member of my local teachers union, the San Antonio Alliance. Shout out to the Alliance. And now that I'm a state lawmaker, I'm a proud member of the Texas State Employees Union. And I'm proud to say that in the Texas legislature, I have a 100% pro-worker voting record from the AFL-CIO. You've had my back when I was a worker in the classroom, and I've had your back as a legislator. And that includes when it comes to AI. In the U.S. Senate, we have to have a senator who's going to take on this problem, who's going to stop AI surveillance in the workplace, in hiring or promotion decisions, that there's a human check on those decisions, and ensuring that AI is improving jobs, not replacing them. This scale of innovation we have not seen in this country. And right now it's being done in purely private hands by a handful of billionaires for their own profit. We need the public sector, we need the US Senate to get in this fight, to develop a regulatory framework that will protect workers during this new AI era.
Thank you. Ms. Crockett, same question. What would you prioritize at the federal level to ensure workers have a voice in AI implementation and are protected from unfair uses of AI? You have 60 seconds.
Thank you so much. So I currently serve in the AI caucus, and so we've been talking about a lot of things. In fact, there's a bill as it relates to AI, not on the job side of it, that AOC has recently introduced. And this is around some of the dangers of AI. I think that number one, we have to confront the dangers and make sure that there are real parameters and limitations on it, just from a general standpoint. Number two, as we look to our communities, we are going to absolutely have to protect our communities from these AI data centers that are being built everywhere. And we can go into that a little bit later, I'm sure, as we talk about some environmental stuff. And number three.
That was a good tackle. That was good. That was very, very good. We don't want to be in a situation. People don't want to be in a situation. First, we don't want to be in a situation where we're going to get fired because of AI. Let's start there. No one wants to be replaced by AI. It's probably one of the reasons why so many people are losing their jobs. Number two, we don't want any type of automated system, AI system, any type of system, not only replacing us, but making decisions, making human decisions. And this is why I'm very, very skeptical, because a long time ago, there was a person that stated in the next 40 years or so, this past 40 years, hey Barb, past 40 years, around 70% of jobs in this country, if you are not in the robotic field, or if you are not in the AI business, cybersecurity, 70% of jobs are going to get took by AI. And I believe that to be so because there was another clip, I believe in Japan, where in McDonald's, 100% of machines were taking over and making your food. No lie. No lie. You can look this up yourself. You can Google it yourself. AI everywhere.
As it relates to innovation, we have a Department of Education in which they are trying to basically defund at this moment. They are trying to limit our ability to get the skills and training that we need. And so we've got to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve and not behind the curve. Listen, we're standing in Austin right now. This is where CHIPS began. My predecessor actually was the one that did the CHIPS and Science Act. And so we know that there is a place for workers for sure when it comes to innovation. But the idea that you can only have one or the other is wrong. And so we have to make sure that we are protecting workers every step of the way to make sure that they are not being replaced by automation.
Ms. Crockett, let's stick with you. Let's talk about the data centers. Then this follow-up question. Texas is becoming a hub for AI data centers, which can drive up water demand and utility bills. So how do you ensure that Texans get the benefits of AI without paying higher costs for water and electricity? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's not even just the higher costs. Those are actual issues that we're going to have to deal with. But it's also the supply. Right now, we're dealing with the fact that there's a winter storm right here in the state of Texas. We don't know if our grid is going to hold up. And we're talking about these data centers that are actually pulling on us even more. So what we've got to do is, again, make sure that we put a framework around these, but we also have to work not just on the federal level, we have to work at every single level of government with our state and our city and our county levels, because we're going to need some zoning put into place. We're going to make sure, right now, I'm working with one of my cities on a similar issue. We have to
Sorry for the shadow.
make sure that we protect the people that live in these communities first from these dangers. The final point that I'll make about the water, it's not just that they're taking our water, it's that they're polluting our water.
Mr. Tallarico, 30 seconds for the same follow-up question. How do you ensure that Texans get the benefits of artificial intelligence without paying higher costs for electricity and water?
I mentioned in my opening statement that I've traveled every corner of this state. I was up in Amarillo, Texas, for a town hall, and I stayed to the very end, meeting with every single member of the community. I can't tell you how many times I heard about the data center being built in Amarillo, and it was done without the consent of the community. And so in the US Senate, I will fight to make sure that these AI companies pay for their own energy and they don't pass it along to consumers. And I'll make sure that we work on sustainable water infrastructure, because Texas is running out of water and these data centers are exacerbating that problem. And so we should tax these companies, we should tax these technologies to pay for that kind of infrastructure.
Sounds like to me everybody's losing water. To me, those who are fortunate, California, Canada, anyone in specific islands. California, I think New Mexico, Texas, Alabama, those specifically down south, Michigan, anything that harpers around water. But for the rest of us, like here in the state of Nevada, our lakes are iffy at best. Our lakes are iffy. We are lucky if we ever see rain. So, and there is a kind of a shortage of. They said it's a kind of shortage of food. I don't believe that shit to be sufficient, because all we do is throw away food. So, kudos to that one. Kudos to that debate. I believe both candidates tackled that issue with precision.
Let's go ahead and switch topics now. In our polling, Texans, like many people across the country, say that the economy is their number one concern. So with that in mind, we would like to ask your position on a few economic issues.
Mr. Tallarico, are you in favor of increasing taxes on billionaires?
Absolutely.
Is there an income level you would consider raising taxes to pay for needed services?
I absolutely think that billionaires need to pay their fair share in taxes. Right now, 3 men own as much wealth as the entire middle class: Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos. Elon Musk is about to become the world's first trillionaire. He's about to make more money than every single elementary school teacher in America combined.
I wonder why.
Do we really think that one man is worth more than every elementary school teacher? These billionaires aren't just buying yachts and jets. They are buying power. Our schools are being defunded so billionaires can get another tax break. Our healthcare premiums are going through the roof so billionaires can get another tax break. Our Social Security benefits, our Medicare benefits are constantly under threat so billionaires can get yet another tax break. So we need a U.S. Senator, we need a Senate majority that's going to fight to make sure these billionaires pay their fair share, and also raise the corporate tax rate to make sure these giant corporations are paying their fair share as well.
So is there an income level that you would consider in 2026?
I am very open to this discussion, but what I will not compromise on is making sure that these billionaires pay for all that they've gotten from this country. They have benefited from our infrastructure. They've benefited from our schools. They've benefited from our workers, and now they're not putting anything back in. That has to end.
Thank you. Ms. Crockett, same question. Are you in favor of increasing taxes on billionaires? And if so, at what income level? You have 60 seconds.
Absolutely. We absolutely need to increase the tax rate. And frankly, I voted against the big ugly bill, specifically because it was all about giving these extraordinary tax breaks while at the same time defunding Medicaid and Medicare to the tune of almost $1 trillion that has been pulled out of the healthcare ecosystem. And even when they pulled that money out of the healthcare ecosystem, unfortunately, it still was not enough to satisfy all the goodies that they gave up to the billionaires. So do we have a framework of how to do this? We absolutely do. The last time that we balanced the budget was when Clinton was in office. And so I think that we need to just go ahead and do what we know works. We need to go back to the tax rates that were in place when Clinton was in office, and we were able to balance our budget while also being able to have people that had access to food, access to education, and access to health care.
All right, thank you.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Because we all know. Because we all know what this thing in Minnesota is about, and that's weakening the democratic structure over there, because Minnesota is blue, and that Trump, according to sources, is willing to tackle anything, any state that is blue. That's why ICE is over there in Minnesota right now. That's why ICE is over in Maine. I gotta find out what color we are.
A follow-up on the economy now. Affordability is another big concern. Ms. Crockett, in 30 seconds, what is one policy that you would prioritize to bring down costs for Texans?
If I had to go with just one, it would be tariffs. And we have to roll back these tariffs. Right now, we know that our farmers and ranchers are filing record-breaking bankruptcies in this moment because of the trade policies. We know that when we look at the Port of Houston, that is presenting a problem for them. We know that Texas is actually the top exporting state in the entire country. We also know that our small businesses are shuttering their doors, as well as even some of these larger corporations that are employing a lot of folk that are sitting here specifically because of the tariffs. I was just in Amarillo with Tyson workers right now, and right now they are shutting a plant, or they are actually relieving 1,700 people of their jobs because of these tariffs, in which we don't have our ranchers being satisfied. Good.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Tallarico, a follow-up for you. Would you support a universal basic income?
Well, baby girl needs to know and realize it's just finished. Just finish. Fuck these two, right? Just finish your statement. If Trump can get up there and start whacking his freaking gums, you can do the exact same thing. He was stalking Hillary and Biden up and down, just walking, just literally walking. If that were anybody, try doing that to Obama. But Obama punch him in the he wouldn't do that.
For all Americans, you have 30 seconds.
I'm very encouraged by some of the results from pilot programs of universal basic incomes. I was born to a single mom who worked overtime at a hotel to provide for me. I was a teacher who was underworked, or overworked, I should say, and underpaid. And I know what it means to carry the weight of student debt and medical debt. It's why I have fought so hard in the Texas legislature to take on special interests.
Well, that is an interesting statement. That is an interesting statement there. And you know why that's interesting? because no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit because we're living in a capitalist society. Well, capitalist slash dictatorship slash everything else from Nazi Germany on up. If you are not a 7-8 figure person, no one cares about you. No one cares. Have you ever met anybody in your life who was a billionaire, and they stopped to say hi to you? Would you like something to eat? Would you like a job? Would you like to know how to get these millions that I have? Just being prosperous. There's a reason why in the biblical sense, why I don't know if it was Lazarus, I forgot who it was, but there's a reason why uh, greed is one of the 7 sins in the biblical structure. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason why they say share your tithes. You're supposed to be sharing your tithes with the rest of the world, sharing your tithe with the people who don't have anything to eat or nowhere to live or nowhere to go. You're supposed to be sharing your tithes and building abroad for those who don't have a place to stay. You look all around and you see the conditions are worsening. But people don't give a shit.
And lower costs. Again, back to my point, look at our records. I've passed bills to lower the cost of prescription drugs. I've passed bills to lower the cost of childcare. I've passed bills to lower the cost of housing. That's what we need to do at the federal level in the U.S. Senate.
Well,
Ms. Crockett, same question for you. Would you support a universal basic income for all Americans? You have 30 seconds.
So again, there's plenty of studies that are still out there, but right now I'm a proud co-sponsor of raising the wage. At the end of the day, the one thing that I hear from most people is that they are frustrated because all of their costs are going up, but their wages are going nowhere. And so I think that if we address that first and foremost, I think that a lot of the inequities and a lot of the harm that is being inflicted on Texans and frankly everyone in this country, they would start to feel some relief. At the same time that all costs are going up, wages are stagnant, and we know that the corporate bosses are experiencing record bonuses that they are being paid by their corporations.
Before we move on, let me go back to Mr. Tellerico. So if we can get an answer to a question, what's one policy that you would prioritize to bring down costs for Texas?
I'll actually give you a few. So I agree with Congressman Crockett. If we're going to lower costs at the grocery store, we got to repeal the Trump tariffs. But if we're going to lower the cost of healthcare, we've got to put.
good luck on repealing anything from that nut job. Just good luck with that. Because apparently, in his mind, they're winning when actually they are losing. Nothing has changed except for the costs of deaths. How many people that died at the hands of ICE? How many jobs are lost? And before anybody comes up and says, "Oh, there are plenty of jobs here," I didn't say every state, did I? I didn't say every state had that effect. There are certain specific states which are red. They don't lose very much, but here, like in the state of Nevada, which I assume is blue, millions of jobs were lost. Millions. Or let me retract that statement. Millions of people lost jobs. Millions of people. As a matter of fact, it was 7 million last time I checked. 7 million. And we want to make light of that just because you live in a red state. Oh boy. Jobs lost from Trump? Absolutely.
Caps on more life-saving drugs and bring down those prices, and to reduce the cost.
I don't want to hear shit about Biden. I don't want to hear shit about Biden. I want to hear shit about Clinton. I don't want to hear shit about Obama. As far as I'm concerned, Obama didn't do shit. So I'm talking. Well, that racist bastard. I don't want to hear anything about him. I want to hear the irrelevant person that's in office right now. That racist bastard, that prejudiced bastard, I don't mind. We can talk about him all day. I don't want to hear shit about Clinton. I don't want to hear shit about. I don't want to hear shit about anybody else but Trump. No disrespect.
Of childcare, we got to finally provide universal early childhood education to every single child in this country. Last one, to lower the cost of housing, we should ban Wall Street from gobbling up our housing stock in this country.
All right, thank you. We want to go to another question for both candidates from a union member.
Cheryl Eliano comes to us from Killeen. She is the District 10 National Vice President of the American Federation of Government Employees. Here's her question.
The past year has brought a lot of uncertainty to federal workers, many losing their jobs due to the executive orders or in collective bargaining. If elected, what 3 things would you do to support federal employees?
All right, Ms. Crockett, we'll begin with you. Ms. Eliano asks, what 3 things would you do to support federal employees? You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, so shout out to AFGE and all that you've done. As a member of the Oversight Committee, we definitely were fighting hard against this collective bargaining issues that this administration decided to usher in. So number one, as it relates to the executive orders, we have partnered with different organizations that were filing lawsuits, because most people don't realize that we as members of Congress can't bring the lawsuits ourselves. So we partnered with organizations to make sure that we could get your stories out there and get some folk as plaintiffs to sue this administration. And thankfully, organizations like Democracy Forward have been very successful. You know, we know that there were a lot of people that were told, wait a minute, you're kicked off the rolls. And then ultimately what happened is, well, they had to be brought back because of court order. There at least is one branch of government that has not necessarily fallen apart. Number 2, we need to make sure that we actually instill laws that are the exact opposite of the executive orders. The biggest issue that we have right now, though, is even when we are writing laws and even when they are passed into law, is the lack of enforcement. And so at this point in time, we are going to have to exercise more oversight over these agencies.
10 seconds for your third point.
The third point, we are going to have to exercise oversight over these agencies, as well as make sure that we just empower our unions, because union busing has been another one of those agenda items for them. And so the more powerful our unions are, the better that the unions can fight for the actual workers.
And I do agree. on that part, due to the fact that Kamala Harris, okay, I'm here, due to the fact that Kamala Harris, haven't met her, but our unions at that time, we worked. It worked for us. She definitely supported us in that regard. She supported us as far as wages, insurance. She supported us mainly through everything and abroad. But the only thing about it is not everybody believed in Kamala Harris, his story at the time. Now, me, I already told you I didn't vote for Harris. I'll gladly say it again. I did not vote for Harris because I did not believe in her policies. Just didn't. I didn't believe. You was gonna have to convince me a little bit more. But when I look at her, when I look at Jasmine Crockett, I see a different human. I see somebody a little different, somebody real, somebody a little focused on her work. It's just kind of hard to explain. She, to me, it says it. When I was younger, when I voted for Obama, I was younger. I was in my early 20s, somewhere around there. I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know who I was voting for. But now that I'm a little older and I'm starting to get into my politics a little bit more, thanks, Barb. Um, I don't know. She just screams it for me. And since people want to open their mouth to some shit that they don't know about, or mainly want to curse females to because they want to be empowered, or they're afraid of a female being empowered and all this other nonsense, being in a Pacific seat instead of these, you know what I'm saying, they just wish they were cooking and cleaning and having sex with their men. That was their only purpose in life. It's 2026, dog. Give it a fucking rest. It's 2026. You're at your jobs right now where a female is in charge of you, your supervisor, or any higher authority who is a female. Hell, it could be a freaking president. It could be a freaking president of your department. You never know. But you have no issues taking orders from her. So what's the difference between taking orders from your boss and listening to a person in higher power when it comes to the Senate, or one day being the United States of America? Hey, Tanya, this is stupid.
But I stand before you because I started my life off as an actual CSR. I worked phones at Western Union. I then went on to work phones for MCI WorldCom. And I know that it was the CWA that actually fought against those systems. You see, we're living in a time in which systems are clearly rigged against us. And I am here to tell you that while the system has been fighting me, I have been fighting them back. So whether we are talking about as a public defender, as a state representative, or as a U.S. Congresswoman, I am here to fight the system that is holding so many of us down. So when I was a public defender, it came down to those indigent folk, because it seems like some people get a get out of jail free card, while other people who need that card can't seem to find any type of cards. When it came down to being a state representative, I was one of the co-leads to make sure that we fled the state of our voting rights. And ultimately, Governor Abbott decided to respond by sending me a warrant for my arrest, which I currently have framed. And finally, as a U.S. Congresswoman, I have fought so diligently, and so many of you are very well aware of those fights. But more importantly, we know that the President of the United States decided that he would then come after our voices, an authentic, unbossed voice in D.C. And that's why they started with the redistricting in Texas. Thank you so much.
Mr. Tallarico, we now go to your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Well, first, thank you to the AFL-CIO for hosting us. As a proud union member, it's an honor to be here with so many of my union brothers and sisters. I also want to thank Congressman Crockett for being here. Before I was a legislator, west side of San Antonio, one of the poorest zip codes in the entire state of Texas. On the west side, I learned that the real fight in this country is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. We will not win this race in November with the same old politics of division. Billionaires want us looking left and right at each other, so we're not looking up at them. We are building a people-powered movement to beat them in November. We've recruited more than 13,000 volunteers. We have traveled to every corner of Texas because we're not writing off any voter. or any community. And we have shattered grassroots fundraising records without taking a dime of corporate PAC money. That is how we take power back for working people. And today, I'm asking you to join us.
Thank you both, and I'm sure you've heard this before. A Democrat has not won a statewide race in 32 years, so electability is important. In the context of electability, style matters. And the next question aims at outlining each of your styles.
And we'll start with Ms. Crockett. You have referred to your authenticity as your political superpower. You went viral for your clash with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you've called Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. In 60 seconds, explain why that is the right style to win a U.S. Senate seat.
Listen, we are not.
Why? What's up with all the jabs? Can anybody explain to me what's up with all the jabs back and forth? That's the second time that's the second time he asked that question. Y'all don't see that?
Looking at politics as usual. Just today, we just had another person gunned down in the streets in Minneapolis. And so for anyone that believes that we are going to be able to respond to this in a normal way, I think that they've got it wrong. But more importantly, when we talk about electability, how many of you have heard things like we are the party of the educational elites? We've heard that over and over. We've heard things like we are losing African American men. We are losing Latinos. We have heard these things. Right now, we know when we look at our polling, when it comes to working class people, I am leading by points. We know that I am leading when it comes to African American men. We know that overall women are.
Hold on. Something went completely wrong. Hold on. I don't know what happened. Don't know what happened. Don't know what happened. Do not know what happened, Cotton.
I'm happy to say that in May of 2024, I signed on to a letter that was led by Representative Jayapal. That letter actually went to President Biden. It was specifically on this issue and saying, President Biden, you don't need to authorize further munitions at this moment because there is evidence that there are problems and therefore there are violations of international law.
Mr. Talarico, same question. What conditions, if any, should be placed on U.S. military aid to Israel? You have 60 seconds.
As an educator who has fought for children, seeing what's happening in Gaza makes me sick to my stomach. I quoted a theologian the other day who said,
I don't know what happened. I don't know how that got skipped, but ugh. Freaky.
I screamed at God for the starving children until I realized the starving children was God screaming at me. God is screaming at all of us in Gaza as we speak. Yes, Israel has a right to defend its people, certainly after October 7th, the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu does not have the right to wage war against civilians. He does not have the right to restrict aid. He does not have the right to use famine or collective punishment as tactics in that effort. And so I have said that if I'm in the United States Senate, I will use every bit of this country's financial and diplomatic leverage to end the death and destruction in Gaza, which means banning offensive weapons to the Netanyahu government and ensuring that we have candidates all across this country who are going to speak the truth about this issue. And I have done that repeatedly. I would not vote to Benjamin Netanyahu that he is currently using to slaughter children in Gaza.
Let's stick with foreign policy. Ms. Crockett.
I did not know what my thoughts were when it came to this whole Israel bit, why everybody was so upset. I'm like, don't we have every country, we have every dictatorship, including the United States of America? Don't we have one of those just like everyone else? Russia, China, Libya, Ukraine, Iran. Don't we have dictatorship? Don't we? I don't know. My only focus is what we have here in America, who, in my opinion, a fact that Trump has completely lost his freaking mind. And if you don't believe that he has lost his mind right about now, we need to check your insanity, or we need to check your sanity. We need to put that thermoscope to your forehead or to your heart and see if everything is working properly. Because what happened yesterday and the day before, the day after, it's been almost a whole month that terrorism has struck in this country, yet alone Minnesota itself. The home of Prince. The home of Prince. Prince is rolling in his grave right now.
You have publicly criticized the U.S. military operation in Venezuela and the capture of Nicolas Maduro. In 30 seconds, do you think the president needs congressional approval before taking military action against a foreign country?
Absolutely. We had a briefing on this issue. I was not satisfied with that briefing. At the end of the day, this president is seemingly trying to plunge us not only into a civil war with ICE, but he's also trying to plunge us into World War III. And he's not trying to stop at Venezuela, which is why we must have a check on him, because he is threatening Greenland. He has decided that he wanted to threaten Cuba. And he's talking about going after Mexico, which happens to be our largest trade partner. He is consistent. We don't stop him. I am afraid about how many other folk are going to be trying to come after us. We have to stop him in this moment.
All right, Mr. Tellerico, you've also criticized the current administration's military action in Venezuela. 30 seconds for the same question. Do you think the president needs congressional approval before taking military action against a foreign country?
Absolutely. We have to confront this new American imperialism seeking to colonize Venezuela and Greenland. And I said in the beginning of this debate that I don't see politics as left versus right. I see it as top versus bottom. This intervention in Venezuela is not only reckless, it is deeply corrupt. Trump promised the biggest oil executives in this country a, quote, great deal if they gave him $1 billion for his reelection campaign. And then he turned around and gave them a gift. He gave them the nation of Venezuela, home to the largest oil reserves in the world. So we have to call out this kind of corruption. Billionaires don't just run our economy. They don't just run our government. Now they run our foreign policy. We need a senator who's going to stand up to those billionaires in Washington, D.C.
Staying with you, Mr. Tellerico, with regard to Iran now, if military action is taken without congressional approval when it comes to Iran, how should the Senate hold the administration accountable? You have 60 seconds for this one.
Right now, we have a Senate that is not holding the executive branch accountable. We don't have checks and balances in our government anymore. And that has to end, because as we've seen, the administration is not going to come to Congress for congressional approval for military action, a blatant violation of our laws, of our Constitution. And we can have discussions about how to respond in Iran, where we have seen so many innocent civilians, protesters murdered on their streets. We're also seeing that in Minnesota as we speak. And so that conversation needs to be had out in public, and it needs to be a decision made by the people's representatives, not a rogue administrative state.
All right, same question for you, Ms. Crockett. You'll also have 60 seconds with regards to Iran. If military action is taken without congressional approval, how should the Senate hold the administration accountable?
Yeah, so, for 2 seconds, I had a glimmer of hope when it came to the Senate as it relates to Venezuela specifically, because there was a war powers resolution that they put on the floor, and we had the votes. There were Republicans that said this is wrong after all the briefings. They understood that to allow for this permission structure would only allow for him to do the things that he's been doing now, which is to continue to bully people. And so as they voted on the war powers resolution, they received a phone call from the White House saying you need to change your votes. And so people changed their votes. And so first step that we've got to do is we've got to actually get to the majority. That is why this Texas seat matters. This is actually bigger than Texas. This is about our democracy and this country right now. This seat has to flip if we are going to make these changes. So we've got to make sure that we've got the numbers. But also, we got to talk to those Republicans that feel like the Republican Party has just left them, such as the Thomas Masseys of the world, who will always stand up and do what he truly believes in. There are still a few senators like a Tom Tillis who are left in the U.S. Senate. We've got to decide that we are going to band together with whichever Republicans have decided that they actually want to honor their oath to the Constitution.
All right, let's get back to some domestic topics. Ms. Crockett, you have said you would absolutely at least support an impeachment inquiry into Donald Trump if he engaged in misconduct. Under what specific circumstances, if any, would you support impeachment or an impeachment inquiry, and where do you draw the line? You have 60 seconds.
So I want to be clear about this. The statement he just made was from a while ago, before things got as bad as they are right now. I think that there is more than enough to impeach Donald Trump, period, on the face of it. In fact, Al Green has put on the floor more than once impeachment resolutions, and I have voted for them. Now, ultimately, do I think that we should go through the formal process so that we can do all of the data collection that we need to do so that we can have all of the evidence? Absolutely, because basically it is a prosecution. And so we need to make sure that people are actually honoring those subpoenas. We need to get all of the information. And so I think that we should start at an impeachment inquiry. We should go and get all of the information. We should allow the American people to hear and see that information, call their representatives, urge them to make the votes. And then ultimately, if we feel like there's enough evidence that has been presented in committee, which it most likely would be judiciary where I currently serve, then we take that vote. We take it to the entire House floor. Now, there are those who say there is no point because we impeached him twice and then he ultimately did not get convicted. Is that where you're going?
Ms. Crockett, but name one thing specifically that he should be impeached for.
I think that he should be impeached as it relates to his unlawful use of the tariffs. That's a very easy one. He doesn't have the legal authority to do it. He, everything else as it relates to...
Let me help you out. Impeachment. When it comes to the terrorists, because of ICE, because of his relations to Epstein. I mean, should I go any further? I mean, we're talking about a hardened criminal in the White House. But here's where America has lost its mind. America has lost its mind in the form of people who support this evil individual. See how nice I was? I could call him a whole bunch of things, but an evil person he is. But people support this person for obvious reasons. He's tax on tip. I even heard when they were doing it, when I think it was either Dean or it was either Dean or Parker who were debating yesterday, and get the likes up, please. Let's get some likes. Let's get some likes. Can I get some likes? Whew. You Trump supporters are crazy. Y'all Trump supporters are freaking wacko. Psycho. I believe I said this before. Some of you Trump supporters don't really care if he raped your daughters, talk bad about your sons, as long as he's doing something for you. As long as he's allegedly lowering your taxes, or telling you he's going to give you money that's going to be mailed to you in a couple of days, when actually it's been almost a month for those quote unquote stimulus checks he was going to get from the tariffs. We've been waiting a month for those. What he said in previous times, grab a woman by the vagina, but people don't care about that. It's just some sick people out there in the world. As long as that was back then. There's nothing wrong with it. He believes in God. No, he don't. Well, I seen him with the Bible. He's a changed mind. No, he is not. He is still the same scumbag that when he was 60 years old, and that whole pageant thing went on. Yes. Even in his 50s. Do you know anything about his dad? He gets his bad genes from his father. I don't know necessarily about his mother, but which is an Irishman, by the way. I don't know shit about his mom, but I know shit about his dad. Where do you think he got his genes from? And you support a guy like this? You would support a guy that will actually tell your 10-year-old daughter that even though you're 10 now, when you grow up, I'm going to grab you by your vagina. You like that? You would actually go for some shit like that? I ain't talking to you white folks. How about black people? Would you mind if Trump tells your daughter when you turn 10, or excuse me, when you're 10 now, but when you grow up, you're gonna be mine? Is that appropriate? My people, black people, think about it. Hey, ain't nothing to think about over here. I don't even want you looking at my daughter's direction. If I catch you, I will prick your fucking eyes out. Simple as that.
His legal authority. I think the courts have stopped him, whether we're talking about birthright citizenship and some others, but the courts have not yet weighed in specifically on the impeachments. The tariffs.
All right. Mr. Tallarico, while you have...
President Trump has been, number one, you keep calling him a president. President Trump has been out of control even during the show Apprentice. I didn't see but 1 or 2 episodes of The Apprentice. And there was a lot of people that were on The Apprentice. And Omarosa, I don't know what that broad was thinking. I don't know what Lorenzo Lamas was thinking. I don't know what Dennis Rodman. We're going to put Dennis Rodman over here. We're going to put Dennis Rodman over here somewhere. Love you, bruh. Love you. You got them titles. You got them titles in Detroit and in Chicago. But outside of that, yeah, bruh. I can't do that. I can't do it.
Been critical of Donald Trump. You have not publicly called for impeachment. If elected to the Senate, under what specific circumstances, if any, would you support impeachment or an impeachment inquiry? And where do you draw the line? You have 60 seconds.
I think the administration has certainly committed impeachable offenses, particularly when it comes to using their public roles to enrich themselves. I will conduct myself in any impeachment proceedings in the United States Senate, just as I did in the Texas legislature when impeachment charges were brought against our corrupt Attorney General. I evaluated all the evidence. I said it was the most serious vote I ever casted because I was removing a duly elected public official from office. The person who I am voted to impeach is now running for this Senate seat on the other side of the aisle. And it should underscore the importance of stopping a Senator Ken Paxton, maybe the most corrupt politician in America. And that's saying something. So to answer your question, Gromer, people can look at how I conducted myself in those impeachment proceedings. I will pour through the evidence. I will treat it with the utmost seriousness. And I will vote my conscience, and I will do my duty.
And I believe I heard you say something about enriching himself financially, but be specific. What's one thing you would vote to impeach?
Gromer, I'm not going to articulate articles of impeachment here at a political debate, but if those charges are brought, in the U.S. House and they come before the U.S. Senate, I will carefully evaluate them. I will weigh the evidence, and I will do my duty as a U.S. Senator.
All right, let's talk about the U.S. Supreme Court now. Ms. Crockett, you have co-sponsored legislation to expand the Supreme Court. You argue that the court has been politicized and no longer reflects democratic accountability. In 60 seconds, what specifically led you to that position?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Just to give a little bit of history on the expansion of the court has been expanded a total of 7 times in the history of this country. The last time that this court was expanded was 150 years ago. Our country has actually expanded a little bit faster than the court has. So that's number one. We also know, because of the games that were played in the United States Senate, we know that all 3 of these justices that he got to appoint, he shouldn't have gotten 3 appointments. We also know that we have seen continuous conflicts of interest, and yet they are not removing themselves from those cases. We've seen, whether we're talking about Clarence Thomas or others, them continuing to preside over those cases. And so, along with expanding the court, I think that we have to look at the other things that I've worked on as a member of the Supreme Court Task Force. We have to look at making sure that there's a term limit so that hopefully our Supreme Court justices can keep up with the times of the people and what is going on in our country. We also need to make sure that there is some type of ethics that this court has to abide by, because unfortunately, this is the only court in the land that does not have a rule of ethics, and there is only one body that oversees the courts, and that is the United States Senate.
Mr. Tallarico, the Supreme Court, you've spoken about restoring trust in institutions and the rule of law, but you have not publicly endorsed expanding the Supreme Court. You'll have 60 seconds for this. If elected to the Senate, would you vote to expand the court, and why or why not?
I've rolled out a comprehensive anti-corruption package, which includes overhauling the Supreme Court. I'm open to court expansion proposals. I think term limits for Supreme Court justices can do just as much good to reduce the partisanship when it comes to these vacancies and help to have more evenly distributed appointments across administrations. And I agree with the Congresswoman that we have to have a basic code of ethics applied to the court, because we have seen that billionaires don't just buy members of the executive branch, including the President of the United States. They don't just buy members of Congress in the House and the Senate. They also buy Supreme Court justices. So if we're going to be serious about tackling corruption, it needs to apply to all 3 branches of government. And I encourage folks to check out my comprehensive anti-corruption package.
Expanded to have what? 3 more Republicans that will abide by any decision or what they will force to or impede the expansion of Donald Trump's immunity. What are we talking about? Expansion of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has never been in the best interest of Black people. I'm not trying to have 2 more Terrence, not Terrence Crawford. What am I talking about? Why do I have Terrence Howard on my brain? What the hell? Thomas. I don't even want to. We don't need to be producing any more Thomases, aka Sambos. We don't need to be producing any of those. No more of those. Clarence Thomases. Yes, we don't need to be producing any more Clarence Thomases. We don't need to be producing any more of those. We don't need to be producing any more of these white conservatives who think it's in the best interests to do harm to our country by putting this sumbitch in office and giving him immunity, which is quite shameful in itself. Who holds the Supreme Court? Remind me again, who holds the Supreme Court accountable? This world sucks.
which we detail on our website.
And just to be clear, you said that you're open to expanding the court, but you're not committed.
So at the end of the day, what I've done with that money is I've donated almost six.
On this topic, you have 30 seconds. In polls, voters across Texas have voiced frustration with what they see option measures. Would you prioritize and
In the politics of our state.
As I was traveling to East Texas last weekend, we received a phone call of a woman whose house they were having to go to because that particular woman had stated.
Okay, we did pretty much an overview. If you want to see the original, if you want to see the original video, go to my bio and go to We-On-Loc Nation, or go to I think it's Jasmine Crockett's website if they have it. But I got the full video. I got the full debate of it. If you want to watch the whole debate, including the closing statements, I have that. I reviewed that already. And overall, I think this was good. Overall, I think this was good. Needs work, indefinitely. I think they should have a second debate with some different people who are asking the questions, and definitely, I don't know who's keeping time. I don't know who is doing that, but need a different timekeeper. Need a timekeeper. Nobody, mostly. There can be a special oversight committee brought together to oversee the Supreme Court. I thought there was already people that oversee the Supreme Court, but never mind. But they have little power, and the Supreme Court justices can't really be removed. They can't be removed at all unless they die. Once you're in the Supreme Court, you're in the Supreme Court for life. Which is quite scary. Quite scary. Fam. Trump needs to be removed from office. But let me not tell you that. Let me not tell you the simple, the harm that he has done, the chaos that he has caused. But people are looking for something. People are looking for something in terms of justices, maybe, in terms of liberty, in terms of keeping their family safe. Can I be 100% real with you? Can I be 100% real? All this, I believe, was caused, and normally I would say know your history. All this, including ICE terrorizing Minnesota, going to Maine and terrorizing them, going to LA, Portland, Chicago, Washington, so on and so forth. I'm just waiting for them to come here. They're looking mainly for people, what I believe, who have a little bit more immigration, or who have a little bit more immigrants. Because I know here in the state of Nevada that it is immigrant hungry. It is immigrant heavy over here. It is immigrant heavy over here. But I don't think people care. And that's the right type of attitude to have when it comes to not giving a shit what ICE thinks. the problem is, are you willing to stand down for your pride? Especially people who live in the state of Nevada, do you have faith in your pride? Do you have faith that you can stand up to a military force? And they're not police, they're part of the military. Some are promoting kids and ex-cons and ex-clan members, dragging you out of your car, beating. I mean, this is what they're doing. Coming into your homes,
We have new footage.
coming into your homes and snatching you out of your homes. Because of what? Because white civilization is on its deathbed. Why else would you complain about the babies that they're making, the jobs that they're taking, the space that they're taking, the space that they're taking up? Why would you complain about these things? Why would what is his name again? Ramirez. I'll think of his name in a minute. But why would all these people, including Walsh, and for those who don't know who Walsh is, I suggest you look him up. Why else would you be so not conflicted? That's the wrong word. Why would you be so enthused and so quick to getting rid of the people who are towering over you in terms of nationality, in terms of the numbers, in terms of economic status? Y'all still are neck and neck with each other. The only people who are bringing businesses here in the United States are illegal immigrants and illegal immigrants. But everybody has a right to this. Everybody, legal, illegal, has a right to this nation to enjoy the fruits of their labor in this nation, in this country. If that's not the case, then why the fuck are we here? And I'm pointing to myself. Why are we here? Can someone please explain to me that? If they can't enjoy the fruits of their labor, then why the hell are we here? Because we were forced here. Oh. Through the Atlantic slave trade. Gotcha. By the way, can anybody explain why ICE was involved in picking on a 5-year-old boy? Can anybody explain to me that? Because his father was a illegal immigrant, you chased him down, and J.D. Vance had the nerve to open his mouth. Whoa. I don't even want to play this, man. I do not want to play this, but I ain't got no other choice. Give me a second. I ain't got no other choice but to play this shit. Oh, hey, Lisa, I didn't know you were in here. Sorry. So sorry. Let's invite. Let me see if this works. because tonight is going to be a real special night. But for right now, let's see if this doggone thing works. I don't even want to play this stupid ass clip. ICE was killing and destroying everybody, including you. Including you. And you want to bitch and moan about immigrants.
From a second angle, and I want to warn viewers that they might find this disturbing, but we want to bring as many of the facts possible for viewers as we can. Let's take a look. Okay, so that was the guy that you just saw pushed. That is Alex Preddy, and the camera's going to go back to him. There he is. There he is.
You got 6, maybe 7 ICE agents on him. On one guy.
We have a new analysis on some of the video that we've been.
Whoa. Whoa. I was told one shot, not several. Hot damn. There were several shots being fired. Hot damn.
Showing you. CNN's Josh Campbell joins us now. Josh, tell us more.
Well, Jake, this is critical new information coming from our CNN Investigates analysis of different angles of this incident that we've seen, where you actually see the fatal shooting of this Minneapolis man. What we're learning from looking at these different angles, it appears at one point, as Alex Preddy is being held down on the ground, officers are trying to take him into custody. He does appear to be resisting. But at one point, it appears that a federal immigration agent actually steps forward into that scrum, reaches band and appears to disarm him, appears to pull a firearm away. So there hasn't been a dispute, I don't think by anyone, that he actually had a firearm. The Minneapolis police chief said that he was a licensed gun owner, but it appears that agent then pulls the weapon, he steps away. Just about 1 second after that agent steps away, then you hear gunfire, and it's unclear which agent actually fired the first shot there.
He was a nurse at a VA. We killing nurses now? It takes several ICE agents to kill a nurse. Interesting.
It's also unclear whether that agent who appeared to remove his firearm from his waistband actually signaled to others around that he was removing the gun. But that is critical information, because there is this question about what type of threat did the agent who fired first actually perceive. You could hear audio from agent saying he's got a gun, but there's no indication in any video that we've seen to date that he was brandishing the weapon, that he was pointing it at any of the officers. And I can tell you, as a former law enforcement officer, by policy, agents are trained that you can only use deadly force when there's an imminent threat of death or serious physical injury to yourself, the agent, or someone else. Merely someone having a firearm on them does not in and of itself itself justify the use of deadly force. That person has to pose some type of threat. So that will be the major question here about what that agent was perceiving when they opened fire. The other critical thing I want to point out, and I've looked at different angles of this video, it appears that there's this first set of shots, about 1 or 2 shots, but then you can actually see on one of the videos, Jake, that an agent then fires multiple times after Alex Preddy is still on the ground. Again, we know from the video that he had been disarmed at that point. There's this concept in law enforcement that's called sympathetic gunfire. And what it means is that if one person opens fire, say you're a law enforcement officer, if your partner opens fire, sometimes other officers will start shooting. It's just that response, that sympathetic response. They saw a threat, let's shoot. That's something they train you not to do. You have to avoid it. Every single agent has to.
So they panicked, and one nice person pops off, and another person pops off. Is that what you're trying to say? Now, I want to shift gears real quick. And again, I should have put in another thumbnail saying that these people have got to go. Check this out.
This is Democracy Watch. Mark, it looks like we have a really chilling update here, as it seems Pam Bondi has given the state of Minnesota an ultimatum, and this is in light of this latest shooting that occurred there. So can you explain what this ultimatum is?
Yeah, look, you and I have been saying for months now that the Department of Justice wants access to the most sensitive voter information that states have, and that Donald Trump will do anything to win the midterms. Well, Pam Bondi today sent a letter.
Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. We got 30 people here versus 3 people here. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have to figure out a way to merge it all into one. I have to figure that out. But let's continue, because this is some juicy news.
After the shooting, after you saw an individual who looked like he was directing traffic, tackled, thrown to the ground, and then shot. After that, Pam Bondi sends a letter to the governor of Minnesota and basically says, hey, the violence needs to end. We need to restore law and order. And here are 3 things that you need to do. One of them is turn over the voter rolls. That's right. Turning over the sensitive voter data that they have been suing state after state after state to get, that they have been litigating over and over and threatening states over. After this tragic shooting, that's what Pam Bondi goes at Governor Walz with. They want this data because they want Donald Trump to be able to rig the election in 2026, and they will leverage even this tragedy, even this horrific event, to get it.
Mark, are they trying to ramp up the violence as much as they can so that they can use that to kind of extort the city of Minneapolis or the state of Minnesota to say, hey, we can make this all go away, but you got to give us something in return. And if you don't, well, we can just keep on sending these ICE officers in, keep on shooting people with impunity until we get what we want.
What we know about Donald Trump is that he will leverage anything to get what he wants, right? He's willing to leverage increased violence. We've seen what he's done with NATO and leverage against our allies. We've seen, Brian, you live in California, I live in Virginia. We've seen what he's threatened to do to blue states to try to leverage, aid to states and the like, right? He'll use anything to get what he thinks is in his best interest. And Brian, let's be honest, there's nothing right now that Donald Trump cares more about than the midterm elections, because he knows if Democrats take control of the House and Senate in 2026, his aims to be an authoritarian get dealt a big setback. This is a guy who recently told the media that he doesn't think we ought to have elections in 2026. This is someone who recently told the New York Times that he wishes that he had seized ballot boxes after 2020. This is someone who went to Davos to announce that there will be prosecutions of his political enemies. There is no surprise then, when you look at the tragedies unfolding in Minneapolis, that he will be willing to leverage that to try to get what he wants with respect to the 2026 election. Look, this is why Democracy Docket has been on this story, both with respect to the voter files, but also why it broke this story tonight about this part of the letter, that the legacy media was not paying attention to. And as soon as Democracy Docket put out, I'm now seeing it all over the place.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend for anybody who is watching this right now, if you are not yet subscribed to Democracy Docket, this whole situation right here.
So let me get this right. You are willing, I gotta put real quick. You are willing and able to do whatever it takes to win like this. You are willing to put let me reword it. You are willing to put the United States to shame, in shambles. You are willing to seek any type of your vengeance is so high that you are willing to do any and everything to get those votes, to turn all these states red, all because of your personal, your all because of a Nobel Peace Prize. Really, all because of a Nobel Peace Prize, you're willing to do this? You're tripping. You're basically tripping and having temper tantrums like a little boy, like a little bitch, based on a piece of junk. Are we serious right now? Are we really, really serious right now? I might have to shift some things around real quick. But are we really serious? And you are willing to risk harm and mayhem and chaos over a damn trophy? Over a trophy. Over a trophy. Over a trophy. Over a trophy. Over a trophy? We are having the worst weather out here. There's this. I don't know about y'all, but it's kind of cozy up here. Sun is shining, birds chirping. No, seriously, if you're in an area and where it's snowing, I don't know where specifically it's snowing at. If you are getting a lot of bad weather, protect yourselves at all times. Light those candles. Get that bread. Start making mustard sandwiches, peanut butter sandwiches. Have a lot of water, no pop. You can have a little bit of juice, but lots of water. They're taking the water. They're taking the water. They're taking toilet paper, and they're taking batteries and flashlights and candles. Me personally, I would make my own candles if I could. All it needs is a little bit of wax. All it needs is a little bit of wax. But I suggest you be careful out there. But anyway, you are willing to do all this just for a Nobel Peace Prize? Yeah, he's got to go. There are too many lives that have been. There have been too many lives who have been lost, all because of his personal bullshit. But the one thing out of life of me is why you are willing to risk apparently he doesn't give a shit who he hurts. He doesn't care. He doesn't care who he hurts. Please hit the like on your way in. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And if you are generous, I'm saying if you would like to, go ahead and support the Cash App. The demonetization is real. I'm not the only one that's being demonetized. This is what I was told. It was a new company coming in, and they want things to be authentic and organic or whatever. No warning, no nothing. It's just whatever. So it is what it is. But I'm enjoying myself. But let's continue with this nonsense.
Here is the perfect reason why you should be subscribed, because this is the outlet that's breaking important news. And by the way, it's not just what Mark is doing on the media front, it's also the fact that he is right now litigating against Republicans' abuses against this country in more than 80 cases around the country. So,
and 24 cases involving the Department of Justice trying to get this data from blue and purple states.
Right. In half of the states across the country, it's him who's helping protect your personal private information. So again, if you're not yet subscribed to Democracy Docket, whether it's for the media stuff, whether it's for the court stuff, a ton of good reasons to support the invaluable work that Mark and his team are doing. So I'm going to put that link right here on the screen, and also in the post description of this video. Mark, while I was reading the article, there was one line in particular that Pam Bondi wrote in the letter that caught my attention. She wrote, "I am confident that these simple steps," and again, that was allowing the Department of Justice to access voter rolls, repealing the sanctuary city policy, and on and on. "I am confident that these simple steps will help bring back law and order to Minnesota and improve the lives of Americans." If she's saying that these steps will bring back law and order, is that not a tacit admission that what is happening right now is the absence of law and order, and it's a
Isn't what Pam Bondi is doing, isn't that a terroristic threat? Is that considered terrorism? I don't know. I'm asking. Is that considered terrorism? Anybody know?
conscious decision to impose that on the people of Minnesota?
Yeah, now look, Pam Bondi will say, no, I didn't mean that. But let's be honest. This is the mob boss saying,
right,
boy, it's terrible what's happening to your restaurant right now. There are people stealing and looting, right? Like, I mean, like she is literally being like, I'm sorry to see such lawlessness in your city.
Yeah.
Boy, if only there were a way to stop this. Yeah. You know, all these shootings and all.
I mean, first the subpoena, and then this terroristic threat is what I would call it. When you tell people of Minnesota, the governor and the mayor of Minnesota, to give up voting data so they can have a clear edge and everything and know who the people who are going to be voting democratically to get a lead, all because of a crybaby, that's terroristic. That's terrorism right there. But this is who you support, right? That's you. This is who you support, right?
All these people being grabbed out of cars that are, where their windows are being broken. You know, if only there were a way to stop that. Oh, wait. How about the voter rolls?
Yeah, that ought to do it. I'm pretty sure if we get the voter rolls, we can make all the lawlessness go away.
Right. It's just
like what Jesse says.
While the draft dodger was playing golf. Something, I'll give you a quote. We're a third world country now. You want to know something? I'll give you a quote. We're a third world country now. You want to know something? I'll give you a quote. We're a third world country now. You want to know something? I'll give you a quote. We're a third world country now. You want to know why? I'm an expert. I've been to them. I spent 17 months in Southeast Asia while the draft dodger was playing golf, right? You know how I know we're a third world country? Because in third world countries, they have the military doing their police work in the cities when you walk around. I was in the Philippines the day Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law and went under dictatorship. We went from nobody to a guy with a machine gun on every corner. That's what happens in a dictatorship. In comes the military. That's what's happening here.
And he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act on the people of might as well just invoke an Insurrection Act in the United States, period. Since you're in war of the US, because you didn't receive the Nobel Peace Prize, but Martin Luther King received the Nobel Peace Prize. Obama received the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think, did John F. Kennedy receive the Nobel Peace Prize? Everybody but that guy. Everybody but Trump received the Nobel Peace Prize, and how he got presented. Give me a break.
And people better wake up.
Killing people for what? All because of your personal gain.
Do it. You want to read something? Then read your history of Germany.
Me favor?
And start comparing the tactics of what happened in 1930s Germany to what's happening here.
The person I actually got hit.
Read.
You know, he's right. He is absolutely right. Absolutely right. What is going on here?
These mofos so badly want to be the favorite minority again. Nigga, those days are past, fam. Those days are past. Stop listening to these dumb fucks who are telling you stupid shit about politics. Afro elite and the rest of them don't know anything about politics. Whether the fuck if it's a black authority, white authority, Asian authority, I don't give a fuck what the fuck they call themselves. I said, disagreement? Why'd you call in? What's your purpose in calling in?
Can we refocus on the reality of the situation today?
Disagreement? You may be you may be interviewing the celebrity. Nigga, you not the celebrity though. We saw this when it came to Joe Biden. All the Democrats, the black Democrats. Y'all remember that video? Them niggas had their head down. All I'm suggesting is that you have your head up. That's all I'm suggesting. You gonna vote for them anyway. That's like going to Disneyland and not riding not a one fucking ride. Nigga, you already paid for the ticket. You might as well ride a ride. The fuck? You might as well get some cotton candy, enjoy yourself.
Wrong. I'm just saying, white people got murdered and he is going off on black people. What is going on here?
Are you trolling or are you actually retarded?
I am not retarded or trolling.
Okay, so
today,
I'm going to speak
the guy
slowly.
Got murdered.
We're aware of the white guy that got murdered. What's your point? Do you have a disagreement? Why'd you call in? What's your purpose in calling in?
Can we refocus on the reality of the situation today?
I don't give two fucks. Let me just
drag black people.
Hold on, let me explain something to you.
Black people for one day.
Hold on, let me explain something to you. I don't give two fucks about the white dude that got murdered today. Two fucks.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
I want to be in that area.
Yeah, I do want to be in that area.
You want to drag black people for the rest of your life?
Has nothing to do with dragging black people for the rest. Who the fuck are you? Even black?
No.
Then shut the fuck up. Get the fuck off my goddamn line.
Is a real thing.
Get the fuck off my.
Mind the business that's mine. Mind your business. Mind your business. And people have the nerve to say, well, you know, you need to stay out of ICE business. You need to stay out of ICE business. You need to stay out of ICE business. No, ICE is in your business. They dragging you out of your business, fam. They're coming into the workforces and dragging you out of your businesses, laying you on the ground and detaining you and taking you to a place that you'd never been. All in the name of white supremacy. Because Nick Fuentes, there's the name, Nick Fuentes wants everything to be white. I got something for Nick Fuentes. I want people to scream that and send it to him. Hey, as a matter of fact, Nick Fuentes, this devil for you right here. All right? I'm just my I don't give a fuck.
My line. I gotta have no fucking white liberal fucking talk about. Are you just?
I know he's not white. I know he's not white, but he talks like that. All because he hates who he is. He despises who he is. But he ain't the only one. He ain't the only one. Even Wesley Hunt. I give Wesley Hunt this. He lets it stay in politics, even though he's a coon. Yes, I said it, coon. Coon, coon, coon. I seen his wife. Coon, coon, coon. Messing with them one. Listen, Wesley Hunt, come here. Come here, you big son of a bitch. Come here. Haven't you learned from Mel Tucker? Better yet, have you learned? You should learn from Sherrone Moore, the former coach of Michigan. Learn your lesson, doofus. Stop with these snow bunnies. Please. Stop it. Stop. And anybody else who thinks it's all about bullshit.
Just dragging.
Bullshit. Sorry. Something in it. Bullshit. Excuse me. Sorry.
Black people, I'll drag your fucking white liberal ass. If you don't get the fuck off my goddamn line before I smack the shit out of you verbally. The fuck you talking about? All up in my business, our business. Nigga, you what the fuck? This is what I'm talking about. All this tap dancing this nigga does, and that they done to black people. Okay, but when it comes to me, you'll be the first one to know. Don't worry. Don't fucking table. They ain't doing that to fucking Latinos. We've got to do better. What is going on?
It's about 135.
So this is 135 answer. This is what I'm listening to.
Oh, I gotta save this one for tonight. I gotta save this one for tonight. I gotta save this one for tonight. Question is, I'm gonna put the link in the post, on my post, because I want this to be something special. Tonight, special shout out to the brave ICE agents. Get your bitch ass off of my motherfucking... Matter of fact, time your punk ass out with that bullshit. I'm like praising no damn ICE agents up in my life. Anyway, tonight is going to be something special. We're going to be talking about a war on black people. Black on black. Pan-Africans versus FBAs versus Adolfs. I want y'all to come, sit back, relax, pop some popcorn, and enjoy yourself for tonight. I will send in the link. I will send the link in my post on my channel. Just go to that post. I will post it my damn self. and I want you to come to the extreme. You're not going to come on here, right where you are right now. You're going to come on to the StreamYard. I will post the link. Please, 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 please come and enjoy yourself. Just hit the link. And this concludes. And before I go, like I said, there should be a second debate between Jasmine Crockett and James Tellerico. Me and Lisa, we discussed it, and I think there should be a second debate. Should be. I don't know if there's going to be, but there should be a second debate. Because even though it was good, it wasn't great. Shouts out to both candidates. And that's that. Oh, it's 6 o'clock tonight. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Pacific time. 9 o'clock Eastern time. 8 o'clock Central, I believe. 8 o'clock Central. So, with that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Be careful with ice. Use salt. Salt.